Hey guys, I want to do a vlog on my PC setup and the upgrades I'm doing right now. I'm moving to a new case finally. The case I had before this was awful. We'll get into that once I swap out the server for this case. When I bought this case, I bought it for 40 bucks. It was really with the intention of later using it on my server because I knew it'd be better. It's got more hard drive mounts, that kind of thing. And I am particular to a big, nice window showing off all the hardware. Worked very hard on this computer. It's taken me probably at least 2 years to get to this point with it. So I can show you inside. Now this is an older architecture. This is the X58 Intel series. And I have Yes Tech City to thank for that recommendation. I've actually, before this, did a lot of work with the I think it's E5440s, the 771 Xeon processors that you could mod to work in a 775 socket, and I'll actually be doing more of that content later on this channel. But yeah, X58 motherboard. This is the Rampage 3 formula board. I bought it as not working on eBay for, I think I paid about $120 including shipping. And I don't really remember if I had to do much to it to get it working. The only real problem that I have found is the middle PCI 16X slot has some corrosion in it or something. If you look in there, there's like green on the contacts. Nowhere else in the board can I find that. I did have trouble with I believe it was channel A on the memory not working at all, and of course I later found out that the memory controller is on board, so it's tied to the processor, and I did verify that. I swapped out my 5650 for a 5670. I think those numbers are right. If not, then I'll fix it in post. But now everything works. I've actually got 2 more sticks here to complete the 24 gigabyte setup here, which is the max that the board can support, and probably way above the max that I could ever saturate. I mean, I do tend to have a lot of things open, a lot of video editing, things like that. There's been times I've gotten into the 11, 12 gigabyte range, but it's just to do it, to have 24 gigs. I'm using a 120 millimeter Corsair all-in-one cooler, and this was something I picked up on Craigslist for $20, I think. Never really fully trusted it because I know he used it for a while before I bought it, and I've used it for quite a while now, and it is on 24 hours a day. So I did buy a new cooler for that. I'm actually upgrading to a 240 millimeter radiator. So that'll be exciting. I'm going to measure the performance gains, if any. I mean, I know it won't be, night and day difference, but I just wanted to see and wanted to have a 240 cooler. And the new case should support it perfectly. I think it'll work out really well. Graphics card is a GTX 780. I picked that up on Craigslist. It's between 180 and 200, and that was a couple years ago, so I actually got a really good deal on that when I got it. And I actually just got another one on eBay, and it should be here within the next few days. I just wanted to give SLI a try. If I'm not really sold on keeping the SLI set up, which I hardly had time to play games, it seems like, but and I really tend to play older games versus the newer ones. If that's the case, I know I have a friend that might pick it up from me. I guess that's about it as far as the hardware and the case. You can see I think it'll be great for a server because I've got at least 5 3.5 inch mounts here. They're super, easy to pull in and out. Once you see the other case, you'll see what I'm talking about, what I had to deal with when changing hard drives and adding them. It was a complete nightmare. It was another Craigslist buy, so you get your good deals and you get your not so great deals. It's all part of the thing. 650 watt power supply, Antec. This is one I think I picked up on eBay used, pretty cheap. I've had really good luck with power supplies, used power supplies, and even a few that were sold as not working. And I do that at work where I've worked on power supplies internally for years, which can be very dangerous. I don't recommend it as a first project by any means, for changing capacitors and things like that. This one, it looked like it may have been hit by a power surge. It knocked out a few of the very first few components in there, and I was able to get it working again. But that's just on a test rig. I don't really use that one 24 hours a day on one of my main computers. Another Craigslist find. This came in a complete case. I bought a complete computer, and the motherboard ended up not working, but even then it was an incredible deal. It was $200 for the whole lot. Corsair case, which I sold to a friend. It had another 120mm all-in-one cooler that's on my server currently now. 8 gigabytes of, I believe it was G-Skill DDR3, or 16, two 8 gig sticks. Sold that for about 90 bucks. I had a i5 chip. I don't remember the exact model number. Sold that for like $90. So just with those few things, I'd already kind of got my money back. And then this was icing on the cake, an 850 watt Corsair fully modular power supply. And this is definitely by far the most awesome power supply I've ever gotten to use. So I'm excited to throw that in, to use some of that power in the SLI setup. It'll be fun. So I can't wait for that. So for now, I guess I'm just gonna run some benchmarks and see where my CPU really tops out at as far as temperatures. Probably do maybe a little bit of testing with the GPU, but I kind of doubt it. It shouldn't really make a difference with the way it is. Idle temperatures can be lower, but the load temperatures I don't expect to change too terribly much. So that's basically it. I'll get back to you when we start building. Alright, I'm super stoked to get this build going. So this is the new case. This is the Corsair 400C, and if you want to know the reason why I bought it, and it even comes off the hinges. I've heard that it's hard to get off the hinges, but theirs must have been bent somehow, because it just comes right off. A little tricky to get both hinges on there, but I deal with that design a lot in my line of work. So, and closing is just as easy. It just closes. It's great. For me, I'm a guy who likes to take the side of my case off 10 times a day to just like, oh, if I put another graphics card here, there's always some kind of upgrade in my head, whether it be something very tiny, just want to do better cable management, whatever it is. I'm just kind of that way with my computers. So this will be really nice. It's very friendly to mounting radiators and everything. And speaking of radiators, this is what I picked up. It's the Cooler Master MasterLiquid Lite 240. I'm sure it's not the best 240mm water cooler out there, but honestly, it keeps going on sale for like $40. So I just had to pick one up to see how it did. I just want to try it out. Like I said, I wanted to go with a new all-in-one cooler versus the used one that I have, because I don't really know how many hours are on it, if coolant's been evaporating, things like that. Just don't want to chance it with my main computer, which I may dabble in some overclocking in later. I've overclocked it various times to various degrees. I would feel much more comfortable now that everything is super stable and in a good case, or at least it will be. But I've already had that experience with this case. So I guess that's it for now. I'm just going to start building, and I'll check in with you guys after a while. Alright, let's see if this power supply is going to fit. From what I've read in reviews, it's a very tight fit for a 180 millimeter power supply in length, especially if it's modular, because it runs into clearance issues with this hard drive bay, which I do need because I have two mechanical 3.5-inch drives that I do have to work into the build somehow. If I need to do a slight, if I need to do a slight modification, yeah, I went Australian there for a second. I'm not above that. It's a new case, but we can do that. The goal is to get everything in the case, and every computer I've ever built, I'm going to run into some kind of issue like that, clearance issue or something. You just got to get creative and try to make something work. Here goes. Guess I'll leave the cables on there for this test fit. And where does this line up? You'd think somebody would have mentioned this along the line with this question. You have one tab here that it fits into, and there's two holes in the bottom. Maybe this is a later revision, but I've got two mount points that I can choose from here. So there, that looks fine. Yeah, I cannot get it into the left slot looking this way. So maybe this is an updated case, or maybe they had a front rad. Maybe that was it, that they had a radiator in the way. I think this will work fine for me. This is, yeah, no problem. So now I think I do want to test mount the radiator. I may initially try to go with a front intake. If that doesn't work, I'll do a top exhaust, since that's about the only options I have with a 240 millimeter. So let's get that going. I do like the filter though, it's nice and simple, sticks with a magnet. Okay, so let's get this out of the way. It did come with a couple Cooler Master fans. I think I may use these in this case. I have static pressure fans, but you can see that, I mean, there's so much opportunity for intake here. Just gonna be going straight through the radiator. I think I will go with airflow fans. If it was maybe tighter up front with less airflow, then maybe static pressure would be the answer. You can always try it the other way around and give a comparison. But for now, I just want to get this thing together. Alright, so we're starting to identify some issues. This is basically the only way this radiator will fit in the case. If I were to put it up top, the fans would have to bulge out the top. Yeah, I'm really not sure why they have all the slots up here like you could put a radiator, because it's so close to the top of your motherboard. Can't really do anything. If I was to flip this around and have the outlet and inlet at the top, it actually just, there's a bundle of wires that comes down here for your I/O up here, your buttons and everything, and it just gets in the way. It just won't fit because this is just the slightest bit taller than this piece here, for it to be able to mount on the front, because the slot, this is literally as low as it'll go on the top 120 millimeter slot. I may be able to slide it down and just mount it with 4 screws. That is an option now that I'm looking at it, but I'll keep playing with it and find a good way to set this up. Alright, so I've got it all together. I'm ready for a test run, just to make sure the thing boots. I don't have any hard drives or SSDs hooked up. I ended up being able to flip the radiator where the hoses come out the top, which works a lot better. It wouldn't have made that run. Just too short. What I did was I used the bottom 4 screws that slid all the way down, and I was even able to get the top screws in, and it just gets a little bit of a bite on the top just to make sure to help with vibration and things like that. So it's coming together nice. The cable should be nice and neat. I mean, there's a few places I wish I could do better, but right now this is just the bare minimum to see if it still works, and I can get some kind of idea of the temperature on this, just to make sure nothing's mounted sideways or wonky. I mean, I've made lots of mistakes over the years, so the number one thing I took away from that is to go step by step. Just any opportunity you have to test things along the way, just go ahead and do it, because it'll save you hours and hours and hours of your time. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna plug it in and see if it works. Fingers crossed. Alright, well, this is several hours later. It's 11 o'clock at night. Just basically finished it up. When I powered it on earlier, it powered on fine, no issues. So there's not really much to go over. It's just cramming it all in there. I'm not going to do that. I thought about taking off the back side panel to show you just the wires. It is such a mess back there. It barely fit back together. But I was able to do that, and I've got a spare PCI Express power just like this, because like I said, I do plan on going SLI soon. So just to have that ready to go, I should have like a SLI bridge ready to go whenever that comes in the mail. Yeah, that's basically it. Can't wait to fire it up and see how it does, and hopefully I'll see some improved temperatures on different things. But really, I just wanted something better to look at on the desk. You saw the old case. It was too simple. I like simple, but it was a little too simple. So I guess, yeah, the next time you'll see it should be powered up on the desk. So let's see how it goes. Alright, so here we are. Looks like I did get a substantial difference on the CPU temps. I haven't seen the hottest core even go above 50, where earlier the hottest core would be around 60. So that's pretty good. That should really help out a lot if I do decide to start overclocking a little bit. The only thing that always worries me with this motherboard is this IOH temperature, which is just way up there. It's at 60 already, but this is running a stress test maxed out, so we'll see how that goes. I'll play with it more and see how I can improve. But for now, I need a shower. It's late. I gotta work tomorrow. I'm done. If I can get it started. Oh wait, here it goes. Oh wow. Oh yes. Beautiful. Again, this is just incredible that it opens up like that. And yes, there's one on the other side. So we'll take that off as well. I haven't seen what it looks like without this yet, so this should be very, very nice. I like that. Like I said, I did the absolute best I could with the cable management, but it was not easy. But it kind of worked out in the end. I mean, it's definitely the best managed. This stuff is back here crackling. This is the best I've done on cable management job. This is the best case I've had available to use. And so this is great. I mean, I can open it up. I can, let's see. I don't remember what it is, but I've got the fan controller here if I ever wanted to change over to maybe red or a different color. Or, you know, just if I want to do an upgrade, it's right there. Just open it right up and get to work. Like I said, I got a second graphics card coming in, so that'll be good. So yeah, I do plan on doing a video when I upgrade my server to the case that this PC used to be in. So that should be pretty fun. Eventually I'm starting off with hardware just because I have a lot to do right now with hardware, but I eventually will do some software videos going through my server, what I run, what I use, that kind of thing, because I've always enjoyed that kind of content. I like to see what kind of things people are doing with their servers at home, and maybe it's something I want to look into. So alright, thanks for watching. Bye. Alright, well, we're getting knee deep into this now. Alright, so I've made some progress. I have so yeah, I will check in when I have more to, and hopefully it'll all work out. So let's see how it goes.